Well, here we have it. The real reason Putin played a pussycat during the Trump presidency. I'm Grid 7, and here we have this, I assume he's left-wing by reading through this article, and it's just, this guy has Trump derangement syndrome pretty bad. He goes through and does all this type stuff, and nope. Now, let's just get into the article. You'll see. Republicans have long had a toughness fetish, going back to the early days of the Cold War. Its flip side has been the intuition that Democrats are weaklings ready to sell out the country to its enemies, with the GOP eager to serve proudly and unapologetically as Americans' lone defenders abroad. The problem here is what we have seen in the past kind of supports this. Democrats have not been, especially lately, hard on enemies of America. Sorry. They just haven't. I mean, let's face it. No, Democrats were, when Mitt Romney, 2012, made a comment that Russia's America's biggest enemy. What did the media and probably people like this guy right here do? Romney's out of his mind. Russia's our ally. Yeah, right. He continues here. No one should be surprised that the script has already been updated to account for recent distressing events on the border separating Russia and Ukraine. Late last week, conservative talk show host Hugh Hewitt observed in a tweet that the tyrant Putin invaded Ukraine in 2014 and would do so again in 2020, but did not do so between 2012 and 2020. Without mentioning his name, Hewitt implied Putin became a pussycat because of Donald Trump's steadfast leadership as a president. And I say this is one I don't see that. What I do see is the fact that, no, not a pussycat, but Putin, to me, just he didn't want to do anything to jeopardize anything because Trump did what he said. Obama, Biden don't. That's one of the biggest problems. He goes, I like this little part. No. But wait, gotta throw this part in. No, the left cannot distance themselves from this story. Now we're here. But wait, wasn't Trump's Putin's lapdog for the entirety of his presidency? Famously refusing to say anything remotely critical about him and even siding with Putin's denial of Russian interference in the 2016 election against evidence provided by Americans' own intelligence services. There's so much wrong there. That's an hour, 2-3 hour long video right there on just what is wrong with that sentence. But people like this guy cannot let go of that. Continuing on, no doubt realizing the absurdity of the claim, National Review's Rich Lowry and others leapt in a few days later to add a layer of nuance to the assertion. I like this part. It's not that Trump was tougher than President Biden, but that he was more erratic. The sheer unpredictability of Trump, his anger at being defiled or disrespected, his willingness to take the occasional big risk, the salmonella strike, all had to make Putin frightened or wary in a way that he simply isn't of Joe Biden. Now, that quote's supposed to be anti-Trump, but if you take a look at that, willingness to take a big risk. Leaders do that. Doesn't always work. That's a big problem. But leaders take risks. And he goes, no, make Putin frightened or wary of him in a way that he isn't of Joe Biden. In other words, Putin doesn't care what Biden thinks in this entire thing. Now, that's the whole entire thing. He cared what Trump thought, but doesn't care what Biden thinks. He sabotaged his own argument against Trump right there. He goes, but this guy goes, there may be some truth in this revision to the thesis. Trump was indeed volatile, impulsive, and capricious. It's certainly possible that Putin feared a move against the Ukraine could spark a massive military response from Trump. But it's far more likely that he hoped for something very different. As Jonathan Last pointedly suggested on Tuesday in his newsletter for the Bulwark, Trump expressed his desire on numerous occasions for the United States to withdraw from NATO altogether. I don't really recall NATO. I recall the UN big time. UN was really big. NATO, possible he did. I just didn't hear it. He did so while campaigning for president in 2016. He did so as president, and apparently he even made it clear to advisors he hoped to make it a reality after he won re-election in 2020. Again, I heard UN a lot. I don't recall NATO. No, I'm not saying he's wrong. I could be. I just don't recall that rhetoric being done with NATO. Continues. Since such a withdrawal is Putin's fondest wish, it makes far greater sense to suppose his relative restraint during the Trump presidency was a function of a reasonable expectation he might get everything he wanted without having to fire a shot. Okay, if he wants the U.S. out of NATO, how does invading the Ukraine do this? Okay, whatever. I like this part. Only now, with a less unorthodox American president in charge, has war become Putin's only means of advancing his more immediate aim of ensuring NATO moves no closer to Russian territory. Putin didn't play nice guy from 2020 to 2012 because he was afraid of Donald Trump. He did so because he knew he had nothing to fear from the fanboy in office, which again completely goes against what was said by this guy up here. Being unpredictable and all this other type of stuff, made Putin frightened or wary of him that he isn't of Biden. This entire article is just a mix mash of talking points designed to hype up their little fan base because it's anti-Trump. And it really doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything at all. No, there's nothing in this paragraph right here, where they're talking about this one right here. There is nothing in there that says that's what Putin wanted. We can assume and all this other type of stuff, but there's nothing there. And I do recall more UN than NATO, but I sure don't recall news articles about NATO. But I don't know. What do you think about this article? Does this guy have Donald Trump deranged syndrome on the brain? Is Donald Trump living rent-free in his mind, and he just can't get rid of it? And as a result, he can't look at the truth of what actually Biden hasn't done. I'm sorry, all of last year, Putin was challenging the Biden administration. And the Biden administration failed. That's where it came from. That's where this aggression has come from. The failure of the first year of the Biden administration. Every new administration gets challenged. And foreign policy-wise, Biden has failed. In ways that really, Obama didn't fail this badly. Clinton didn't fail this badly. Biden is just a disaster. Now, that's my thought. What do you think? Like, comment, subscribe, get notified for new videos. Come on over to Rumble. View me over there. It's a much nicer place. Less censorship. And I'll see you next video.